Mickey, we talked about the connectivity that's required, and I'm thinking about how that last conversation ended is going to now color or impact my next conversation. So what I'm picturing is this sounds like the point of intersection, or my view versus someone else's that you talked about in the book.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about intersection and why those intersections are just so hard to find.
Well, I want to talk about what makes them easy to find and then what makes them hard to find if we can. The notion of an intersection is an image that we use in the communication catalyst, and we use it prominently in our work because we say that the key to causing cycles of value rather than waste is how quickly you can locate an intersection between your point of view, my point of view, and the facts at hand. So we say, if you're looking for alignment, the starting place is finding an intersection between you, others, and the facts that are in the circumstances. Finding that intersection is actually a simpler thing than people think. The reason that most people miss it has got two aspects to it. One is they don't know what to look for. So I want to deal with that one first. And the second is a breakdown in the emotional agility we were talking about a little earlier. I want to go after the first thing first, which is what do you look for? You know, my father was a pitcher in professional baseball, and he used to talk about the key to his success whenever he was successful included being able to block out everything except what mattered. So people screaming and going crazy and chatter from the dugouts and all that was completely blocked, and all you focused on was the mitt, the pitch. There was a very few things. Well, for us as communicators, for all of us, we recommend that what you focus on and let everything else go by are only three things. If you want to connect with another human being, you want to connect with their purposes, their concerns, and their circumstances. And people actually express those in ways that they're easy to hear. So purposes people say in terms of things they're for, things they want. Concerns people say in terms of things they're against, things they don't want. And circumstances people express by discussing the facts of their life. So if you get really good at listening for what people are for, what they're against, and the facts that they're dealing with, they will experience you as a connected, respectful partner, and they'll open up and disclose things that otherwise they would not. We talked earlier that that's a real important aspect of a strengthening relationship, is an expansion and disclosure. So this looking for purposes, concerns, and circumstances is challenging because people react to all the other stuff. We say a great communicator forgives the mood of the other and manages his or her own mood. And that's the key to emotional agility, which I know we'll talk about a little later. We react to too much rather than just let it all go by, accept this useful, important information. What is this human being for? What are they against? And what facts are they in? So purposes, concerns, and circumstances. If you get really good at identifying those, people experience being understood and respected. Then they disclose information, you coordinate, you collaborate, things get better. However, if you perceive in any way that I'm ignorant of or disrespectful of your purposes, concerns, and circumstances, you will resist me. You will back off from me. In fact, we make a bold statement, which is anytime anyone ever resists your good idea, your well-intended contribution, it's because you're missing a connection with a purpose, a concern, or a circumstance that's really important to them in that moment. And it's the only reason they resist you. Not because they're a jerk and not because they're impossible. No, it's because I didn't connect with some purpose, concern, or circumstance that's really important to them in this moment.
Mickey, I know that sometimes when I'm looking for that point of intersection, I want to go back to the cycle of waste. Disagreement appears for me because oftentimes the other person is more able to articulate what they're against than what they're for. And sometimes it's helpful for me to think about what they're, in saying what they're against, they're really trying to express what they're for. So yeah. I need to work a little harder to find that what they're for sometimes.
Well, we think that the most important of the three is purpose. It's what people intend, what they're committed to, what they're for. The other two give you easy access to that. And people will tend to talk about their circumstances, and they'll tend to talk about their worries or concerns more frequently than they talk about their most important purposes. So we say, if somebody's, for instance, telling you a lot about their circumstances, then you just ask them the question, well, for you, what's particularly important about that? They'll then start to discuss their purposes. If somebody talks about what they're against, you can ask yourself, or even them out loud, well, I can tell that's something you don't want. Can you tell me something that you do want, which if it were successful, it would actually take care of that? Then you get them to be in the presence of what they're for. All three of them are important points of connection. However, for what they do afterward, remember we said the test for communication is conduct, you want their conduct to be driven primarily by what they're for. We find that when people stay focused on what they're against, their focus is on what they don't want. And they will take a lot of wasteful, extra actions that make things worse, not better, than if they were primarily focused on what they do want.